We have started recording. I think is this session 4? I think it's session 4, I want to say. Um, since nobody decided to tell me what they wanted to talk about this evening, I figured what we would start off with is I want to talk about crystal grids. Does anybody here use crystals for their healing? I know Debbie does. I know Kate does. Antoinetta does. Okay. So good, good. Have you guys worked with crystal grids at all? So I figured you had, Kate. So crystal grids are a great, great thing. I love them so much. Um, and I don't have any up in my house right now. In fact, I've only found one of my box of crystals so far that I've unpacked. I'm not sure where the other ones are. I'll be led to them when I'm supposed to, apparently. But grids work with sacred geometry. Are any of y'all familiar with sacred geometry? Okay,
Yeah.
so that's okay. So sacred geometry in a nutshell, like my brain, it dumbs it down for Nikki, right? So, and I'm not a numbers girl. So, but sacred geometry works off that the universe is all mathematical, basically. That's why angel numbers are so important. Like Kathy says, 3 is the magic number. All of these things. So, what happens with the crystal grid work, it works with sacred geometry patterns to assist in bringing things into divine order. So, it's just another physically palpable tool, a physical representation to bring divine order into your healing. The great thing about it is you can use grids for all kinds of things. There's several different shapes of grids. I've got an amazing book that I look into. Where's it at? It's called Crystal Grid Work. And I'm going to post some pictures for you guys to be able to kind of play around with too, if you want to. They're all different kinds of crystal grids, though. So there are literally in this book, there's the seed of life grid, flower of life, the circle, the spiral, the triangle, the tripod of life, uh, Borromean rings, Ashaka chakras, Star of David, the cross, and the square. So each one of these different shaped grids and where you place your crystals on it that you choose activates different parts of things for the divine order, which I think is super fun. Um, each of the shapes work with like the energetic lattice of the crystals to bring inspired healing or bring inspired positive change or bring inspired abundance or whatever it is you're setting your intention for. So one of the things that I wanted to cover with you guys, and I am going to post, like I said, I'm going to post the screenshots that I took from the book out of this. But if you guys want to jot this part down, you can too. How you set up your grid is, and I'm going to post pictures of certain grids, or you can go on and at one of my metaphysical shops, you can buy like these corkboard grids that are really cool that you just set down. You can place your crystals on them. But you don't have to go that route. You can get creative and you can go on Google and type up crystal grids, find the shape that you want for whatever you're wanting to use it for. You can even just print off the paper. You can draw it. You can, print off the paper and paste it to something. However you want to do it. Put it like go to Dollar Tree. That's a great one. That's an awesome one. So you can go to, if you want to print different ones off to use at different times, you could go to like Dollar Tree and get a frame. And then whichever grid you want to use at that time, put in the frame, just set it down on your counter, and then you can place your crystals. So the way that you do that, you guys, is the first thing you do, and I'm just going to read literally verbatim out of the book because they say it better than I could. The first thing you do is you pick out your grid, right? And like I said, some of the grids that I'm going to be posting up, I'm going to post up the triangle grid because it's to connect with higher wisdom. It's to increase psychic abilities. It's to enhance divine communication. It's to inspire peace and clarity, improve creativity, and manifest new desires. And it's literally, where's my camera? It's blurring me out. Damn it. Okay, so you
I
can
see it.
kind of
It's a
see it.
triangle.
it's
It's
a
literally a
triangle,
triangle.
but it'll have certain points on the triangle where you place your crystals at. The triangle's a good one. The spiral's a good one for healing because it improves health. It enhances stamina and focus, which we all need on the healing journey, of course. Um, it provides a very good sense of grounding, expands knowledge and higher consciousness, and it supports personal growth of any kind. So, out of all of the grids that I was kind of perusing and looking at, the triangle and the spiral seem to be two of the best grids specific to healing grief and enhancing connection that I kind of stumbled upon. So, what you're doing with your grid is number one, you're going to, here's an easy step-by-step guide to build your own crystal grid. That's what the book says. So you're going to set your intentions. Of course, we all know setting intentions in our healing period is extremely, extremely important, right? I mean, healing doesn't happen without setting the intention for what you're doing. That's why we say, like, we have to choose healing. We have to keep choosing healing. We have to, some days we choose self-care, some days we choose rest, but inevitably it's all tied into our healing, right? Then you select your shape. So I selected my shape first, quite honestly, when I was doing my research specific to grief. So select a shape that best represents the core desires of your I am statement. I am statement. How about that? For example, if your statement is, I am attracting and saving large sums of money, you might choose the seat of life, as it's known to help manifest financial abundance. Totally getting that one out of the book tomorrow. So you would say, I am healing my grief and learning to connect to divine source and my child, right? The next thing you're going to do is select your stones, and I'll go over some really good, very basic foundational grief stones, and there's probably a lot of you that can add to that as well. The next thing is to make it personal. So you can also add into your grid, like if you're doing a grid for divine connection or connection to your child, you might take some of the, who was in the class that we did the mandalas, where we made the mandalas with things that were important to us? That was really cool. That's kind of a grid work thing too. So you can take some of those personal items of your kiddos and you can decorate the grid with it. Anything that inspires you. It might be special objects, jewelry, feathers, shells, plants, anything like that. So, and I know, Debbie, when you did your mandala, it was like all of Isaac's really cool stuff. So, that's super powerful. The next thing is to choose placement and location. Choose a location that best suits the intention of your grid. For instance, a romance grid. Ain't nobody got time for a romance grid, but a romance grid. A romance grid would go well in the bedroom, while a success grid could be best like in an office. So for those of you like Kay, I know you do a lot of work in Anthony's room. That's where you're going to want to place your grids for connection, obviously, right? So those of you that have like a sacred space set up for your kiddo, even if it's just a picture and a candle, that's going to be a good place to set up a connection grid, right? Then you're going to prepare your crystals. And those of you that work with crystals know how much cleansing and charging is important in crystal work, right? So you're going to cleanse and recharge your crystals. The thing about cleansing and recharging crystals, I think it's great to cleanse under the moonlight, under the full moon. I think it's great to charge under the full moon. But from all the research I've done, I'm always going to take the path of least resistance. And I have found, there's a gal that I follow, I can't remember her name anymore, but she said that charging in full sunlight will actually cleanse and charge at the same time. So I have a lot of them that I have to take out there, man. So I just put them all in a basket, take them out, I let them set, and then I bring them in. You have to be careful because there are certain ones that are sun sensitive. Another way you can cleanse crystals, and again, you have to check your crystals to make sure they're not a soft stone, because a lot of them won't tolerate water or sea salt, but you can also dip them in sea salt, cleanse them with water, set your intention, call in your angels, call in your higher ups, upper management, and have them do the cleansing with you as well. And then you're going to place and activate your grid. So you're going to place a piece of paper containing your I am statement, your intention, right? Underneath your focus stone. Build the rest of your grid in a shape as you choose. Finally, activate your grid by using a clear quartz wand or a point to trace. You don't have to use a wand, by the way. That's fancy schmancy. But you're going to point or trace an imaginary line connecting all the crystals together. So after you place them, and when I post the pictures of this, it's going to show you where to place each one, okay? Because you're placing each one at a specific point, and then you're connecting them. So that being said, some really great grief healing stones, crystals to use are amethyst, because amethyst actually promotes calm. It promotes positive energy. Apache tears. Apache tears is a great stone that actually assists in moving through the heavy lower vibration emotion. And it's also good for emotional distress. Rose quartz, of course, rose quartz. If y'all don't have any rose quartz, everybody get some because it's an amazing, amazing crystal. It promotes unconditional love, which is what we're doing with Divine Connection with our kiddos, obviously. It also helps balance the emotion, and it helps balance you while you're healing emotional wounds or trauma. Okay. Smoky quartz is grounding, and it also helps you move through lower vibration emotions. I can't say some of these. I mean, I can, but I say them however I want to say them usually, quite honestly. So, lepidolite is stress relief and calming, and chrysocolla is a calming stone. It also promotes and brings comfort, and it helps cope with change. So that's going to be a really, really powerful one as well. As far as connection goes, my favorite connection stone is angelite. And within my first 6 months, I was gifted a set of angelite connection stones, and they came in their little special bags, and I would hold them while I was sitting and listening to my megahertz to connect with Lee. So basically, that's how you do a crystal grid. It can get kind of intricate. This, I don't know if you guys can see this. What's the deal? See how the stones are placed in different points? So the picture that I'm going to post is going to tell you where your focus stone goes, your desire stone, and your way stone. Okay. So then you'll just coordinate which stone goes where, and then you connect your dots. Okay, Debbie, those of you that are using grids, Lee, I don't know if you use one. Can you share your experiences about gridding with the others? All right, unmute. Are you going to on the hot take tonight, ladies?
Debbie, you want to go first, or you want me to?
Well, I don't have much to share. It's funny that you brought this up because I was just watching a video on how to do it, and I had a money teams up. You know, if you get a little punch card, you get something free. And so I went to the metaphysical store, and I'm like, oh, they have one that it was just like the video. So I had literally just got this and was going to try it out. So I'm glad you're talking about it because synchronicities, right?
Absolutely. So I love that.
It's okay. I will give it to you.
That's awesome. So just FYI, Debbie, that's Metatron star that you have there. It's sacred geometry stuff that Nikki was talking about, but that's the name of the pattern that you have. It's Metatron star.
Yeah, the video I watched, they had it, and I was really intrigued by that design. So, and then they had beautiful. that exact design and in my price range. So yeah, it just.
If you're drawn to that, Debbie, you might look into getting a pendulum that is Metatron star too. They're They're gorgeous. They're absolutely gorgeous.
Yes, okay. Indeed. So this is my favorite grid that I use. It is my brother made it, believe it or not. And this is Metatron star in here, and then it has all of my moon phases. So this is like extra cool. It is my favorite one and it does do the most magical things, but I also have another smaller one that is also Metatron star upstairs that I use for like my pocket crystals. This one down here in the healing room has like the big mambo jambos. So yeah, they work. I don't know how else to say that. I can pretty much Caroline.
What do you mean by
I
what do you
I
mean by
muted it.
yeah. Okay. What do you
What?
mean by work? What do you mean by work? Like
Work?
what's the yeah, what do you mean by work?
Well, so I do use it to I set intentions for a very long time. My intention was healing. So I did accumulate quite a bit of healing stones that often it only makes sense to me to leave them in the healing room. So like the energy when you get in here is different than the energy elsewhere in my house. So it because I sent the intention, obviously I have the belief that if I set this intention on this crystal grid, and I totally believe that, you know, I'm like Nikki too. I charge my crystals any which way that I can. I cleanse them all the time with Palo Santo and sage. That's my cleansing way. But yeah, it's a different feeling. Even like my working with crystals, your pocket stones, you know, you have the certain ones work better with certain intentions. So those are the ones when you want something manifested in your life, you would obviously use that, carry those with you, make crystal grids with that specific thing. I like to give myself credit for this, but you know, lots of things have to happen. So Anthony's football team, it was a huge deal with us in our community, and they recently won state, and I like to take the credit for manifesting that, because for a whole week I had all of my gold crystals on both of my grids, like trying to manifest the gold for the state for them, and then they won, and I'm like, I did it, it's all me.
God.
It's not.
And then you had the ego team after that.
Yeah, and then I was like, chill out, Ma. Chill out. So yeah, no. But you know, like stuff like that. Like, yeah, my connection seems to run deeper or better when I'm like meditating and I want to have like a really good connection with my higher ups, not just Anthony. I use like this is actually Metatron star and what's called iolite. So I'll use this. This one's like a moonstone, and this is a really good celestial connector. And then I always have a skull around because obviously the whole reason I'm doing this, I need to honor that at all times. So yeah, you know.
One of the ways that I've used, and this is a great thing too, guys, to protect your energy, because energy protection, you know, that's why we cut cords. That's why we surround and protect. And for me, and for most empaths, that for those of us that, and I'm getting better at it, but for those of us that haven't quite learned how to stand in our own vibration without being sucked out by other people and taken into their junk, crystals for protection are huge. So you can grid on a grid like this, but you can also set intention and pinpoint and protect certain areas of your home. When I have had a lot of shit being slung at me for being who I am and standing up in my truth and maintaining my integrity within the spiritual community. And because there are not always people that do that. And a lot of times they get very mad at me because I won't back down from the integrity that I hold, basically. And I won't join that lower vibration, or I try very hard not to. So there was a time when I had at the apartment, I had in all four, I went to one of my other favorite metaphysical shops, and the shaman there was telling me how to energetically use certain stones to protect the energy within my house, because there was a lot of lower vibration energy going on in the apartments around me, as well as stuff that was happening online, and just a lot. It was just a very, very low vibration time, and it was like suffocating me, right? So I actually put hematite and copper and gosh, I can't remember. I've got them all in there now. I'll have to look up what all they are. I can't remember, but I took 5 different stones and I placed them in the 4 corners of my house, and I set the intention that that was a protective energetic grid so that the inside of my home could be maintained as a safe, sacred space. And it really, I truly believe it is what got me through that couple months within in our life. And so that can be very powerful. Another thing to remember with your crystals is that if you're not just placing them somewhere and you're placing them in something, they're supposed to be placed in something that is not man-made. So wooden bowls, you know, just whatever you can find, basically. So that's a good point of reference too. So when I was placing them in the 4 corners, I was putting them in non-man-made material containers, right? So I wasn't putting them in a plastic container. I wasn't putting them here, there. I have some small wooden bowls and I was using those. So that's another good way to use crystals. If you guys are like me, I was willing to use literally anything and everything, any tool I could find to help me heal and connect. So, and I've always been a rock collector. You know, that's what I did as a kid. I lugged around suitcases that I had rock. Then I would open it up, put another rock in, close it up, open it up, put another rock in. That's what I did as a kid. So it's no surprise to me that I was drawn to crystal work when I first got into my healing. I do still keep them around the house, and I love my crystal balls. I have a whole shelf with a lot of different size crystal spheres on it. So if you have any doubt about the crystals, or if you're drawn to the crystals, I would say, again, step out of your box, use an open mind, because if you're, when you get to a certain point, especially if you've hit kind of what you feel is a stagnated period in your healing, that's the time to change things up. So if you hadn't kind of played around with crystals before, maybe you can now, because it really is about the intention. And what's great about it for humans is it gives us this inspired piece of nature, really divine creation in a physical form that we can use to focus that healing, that intention, that energy, and that radiates back to us. So if you haven't played around with crystals, I'm not telling you have to go all in and become obsessed, but always keep your mind open to different tools, because what one person thinks is hokey has worked for the last person. You guys have heard me say before, they could have told me to run around my block naked 50 times and it would have helped me heal. I would have done it. And I don't like to be naked. So, but I would have done it. I would have done it. So just keep an open mind with it. If it's something you want to try, and it's just like with everything else in healing, right? There is yet to be anything I've found in healing that's like, I heal. It's very subtle. Everything in the healing journey is very subtle, very subtle. And it takes trust, and it takes faith, and it takes intention, and it takes action behind the energy of it. So I feel super silly, like I'm watching my stripes and my elf outfit move. But so it's a really good practice, and I'm going to post a lot of this. Another great thing is, some of you guys have heard me say this before, bring this one up, but my all-time favorite, and I don't know what it is for iPhone, because y'all know how I deal with iProducts, Apple products. I don't know how to work those things. I can barely work the Samsung ones or the Android, whatever. Is that the same thing? I don't even know. Anyway, but on my phone, which is some kind of phone that's not an Apple, I don't know, I have the best crystal app ever, and it's literally just called Healing Crystals. And I don't think you can see it. Technology. Anyway.
I'm going to do a search for it right now.
Okay, it's literally called Healing Crystals. And I love this app because I have too much information in my brain to keep remembering what every single stone is that I am drawn to. And so I like this app because you can literally go in and it'll say search by issue, search by stone name, search by stone color. So I can literally just peruse the pictures, be like, oh, there it is. Click on it. I'll be able to see what it's for. I'll be able to see what it's serving me for, if it's fitting where I'm at. And it's just a super handy little like pocket guide, basically, if you happen to run across a crystal shop or a metaphysical shop or, whatever. So it's a super handy little app to use. And remember, when you're picking out crystals too, and you can buy crystals from Amazon and these places, guys. You just want to be sure to cleanse them and charge them, right? Same thing with pendulums. Same thing with Palo Santo or whatever, because I know a lot of you don't live where you can find a metaphysical shop on every corner like where I live now. So, but a lot of times too, you can ask your child to come in and help guide you to the crystals that you need.
Nikki.
And yeah, go ahead, Debbie.
I was just quickly, I was going to say, going back to the doing it really easy to charge your
Mhm.
crystals. These are selenite plates. This is
Oh,
really
those
easy.
are awesome. Yes.
You just stick your crystals. I just do Palo Santo or sage and I cleanse them, and then I just stick them on this. And these are just little charging plates, and it doesn't get much
Nice.
easier than that.
It does
and these
not.
are not, and they're pretty cheap. So
And they're
I don't know, people-
gorgeous. And I love selenite. Like I have for those of you that are having sleep disturbances, a selenite tower on your bedside table. It was like night and day for me, literally like night and day, because I was having sleeping problems. And it really, really helps. So, yeah, if you guys haven't played with crystals at all, I'm not saying you have to go all woo woo, go all in and get all woo woo. But it might be something to kind of step up your healing game and give you, they're very grounding for me. Like I said, it's a physical representation that you can actually use a physical tool to work with. So that was very important for me at a point in my healing. And it is now even this far out with things like manifesting abundance or raising the vibration or whatever it is. And I know this week, a lot of you guys have been struggling. It seemed like when I did the check-in, there's been a lot of low vibration, which is expected, right? Of course, you have to sit in that. I'm like having muscle cramps. I have not taken any electrolytes today, but you do have to sit in that and move through it. But when you're ready to start shifting, crystals are a great way to add to the higher vibration of your surroundings and help you also stay in your own vibration instead of being, sucked into somebody else's. For those of you with really high demand jobs, Angie Hopt, I'm talking to you. This would be something really good to put in your workspace. Guys, I carry crystals in my car. Like, I do not need my truck breaking down, right? And so there are certain crystals that Tom and I keep in our car. We also, he's turned into a crystal whore. Like, I can't even take the man into a metaphysical shop now because he'll want to buy thousands of dollars. I'm like, you cannot have all those. Like, you cannot get all those today. But he loves a rainbow titanium crystal, and it's an abundance, and it's a manifestation crystal. And it is not a pure crystal. It's actually partially man-made because it is a crystal that is wrapped by man in like a titanium plate or something. I don't even know the ins and outs of it, but it's a beautiful, beautiful crystal. So, just look around and play and see what you're drawn to as well. It's great to start out with like, okay, here are the healing crystals for grief, here are the connection crystals, that expand from that too, because as you move through things, they have so many different properties that they work with that those are going to overlap into other areas of your life too that you can use them with. So, and that is your lesson on crystals and crystal grids.
I was going to say something. When we were at Warrior Weekend, I won one of the prizes from Kat, and it was a little bag of crystals. And I set it here on, I didn't do anything with it. I just set it here and it looks pretty, and I just pulled it out because I couldn't understand some of the names that you were saying of the crystals. And Kat wrote them all out, like what they are and what they aid with, the sign, the planet, the element. So
perfect. Those will be great for you to start a grid with, Angie. If you want to play with grids, those will be a great start. And knowing Kat the way I know her, they've probably been charged and cleansed, and you'll probably need to charge and cleanse them again. But they're probably, I mean, that woman she hops all over every dimension. So,
Can
you
you
know.
see that? It's in the little
Oh yeah,
box.
you did get that one. Yeah, that's awesome.
Not that I know
Perfect.
which one is which.
That's why you got to get this app, girl. You got to get this app because
Is it the
literally
one for beginners? I just looked it up on Facebook.
it has like little hearts on it.
Yeah, go to
Oh.
the App Store. I just downloaded it. That's exactly what you said it's called.
Okay, it's called Healing. What is it? Healing Crystals.
That's it.
Yeah,
Yep.
just Healing Crystals, and it has a little circle by it, Angie, and there it's red hearts in the circle. So,
Okay.
but then you can literally do the search by color, and then you just play like match the picture ID. That's how I do, because I've done it on my crystals I have here too, because I have so many I forget them sometimes. So I'm like, what was that again? Oh yeah, that's what that one was for. So yeah, great stuff. So I'm excited for you guys to play with crystals if that's not something that you've done. You know, another great thing you can do with those is the ones that are okay to be in water. You can take Epsom salt soaks and put the crystals in the tub with you, even for a healing bath to increase the healing properties of the cleansing bath that you're doing. So that's another great thing that you can do. Does anybody have anything to add to that? No?
Hey, I just
Yeah.
wanted to say that I think it's the Metatron. Is that
Mhm.
yeah? That is also Ezekiel's will is the Metatron. So of course I am very drawn to that.
Absolutely. It's extremely powerful. Extremely powerful.
So anyway, I just thought that was cool. I had to tell y'all that, you know.
Yay! That's your boy.
That's my boy. Yeah.
Anybody else?
Sure.
Kate?
Yeah, I can add. So cleansing and charging and stuff. So full moons are my favorite time to charge my crystals because obviously moons have really cool energy and it's a feminine energy. So therefore you're charging your crystals with feminine energy. So that's awesome. And the next one is actually on the 19th, which is like Sunday, Saturday night or Sunday. It's one of the two.
I will have to
Sunday.
look.
All you got to do is just set them outside in the pretty moonlight and then get them back in the morning and it's done.
On your charging plate. On your charging plate.
Sure, you can charge whatever you want. I like Nikki says she takes I have like a tray, I put it all on a tray, take the tray outside, charge them up at nighttime and bring it back in. I usually do mine.
You can do it through a window.
Sure. Yep.
But
sometimes it's really cold and then they crack in the cold and that sucks.
Right.
I had that happen and it really sucks.
Another thing to remember is if your crystal breaks or if you lose your crystal, that means that
you're done.
That one's done with you. It's done what it's supposed to do. That doesn't mean you can't go get one of the same kind. It just means that particular piece, that particular stone it's done what it's there to do. Okay. Especially when you're dealing with hematite. And if you're protecting your energy and you don't have hematite in your house, around your body, I would definitely advise you to get some. I wear a hematite ring. I have hematite rings hanging on my fridge. I have hematite ball in my car. I have hematite bracelets all over this house because hematite will absorb negative energy and it will actually break or get lost when it's full. Funny enough, I did not know that that's what hematite did. And when I had my wedding ring custom made by an artist, I picked out a hematite stone in it. That damn ring disappeared 4 years in, and I stayed 13 more years. Hindsight. So, yeah, so good stuff with crystals. Like I said, they're just another tool for you to use. And having your toolbox full is so important. That way, if you're done with megahertz for a while, or if you're done with, because you always have to change it up, especially when you guys get in a stagnated period. If you haven't went back to your basics, right, your basic toolbox stuff, that's when you can start pulling out of stuff that you haven't kind of dabbled and toyed around with yet. So yeah. Okay, so on that note,
yes,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, I didn't know you could do all that with crystals. I just kind of like have them in my different pockets and just use them to hold and whatnot. I do like essential oils.
Oils are great too. Oils, I mean, and right now Kathy is our resident expert on oils. And if you use stones and oils together, amazing. I haven't used a lot of oils since I was in my 20s. I was a certified aromatherapist in my 20s, but I've forgotten way more than I ever have remembered apparently now. But if you have questions about specific oils, Kathy actually works for a company that they make custom oils. They have a blender. They have an aromatherapist that makes custom oils. And so, Kathy, do you guys take orders from all over? Like, how does that work? Like, she brought oils for everybody. They had a warrior oil that she brought to Warrior Week last year.
Well, the company that I work for is a network marketing company. And so I have an affiliate link I can give if anybody's interested.
My sister-in-law does this too on the side, so she actually gives me so much. Like
I actually work for them in the corporate office. I'm not really a distributor.
Okay.
I just share my link. But we have the aromatherapist who formulates all of our oils is Alexandria Brighton. She's a French medical trained aromatherapist. She's been doing aromatherapy for about 40 years. She's known as the mother of essential oils in the Western world, and she is phenomenal. I love her. It's always like, it makes my day when I get to call her and talk to her on the phone about stuff. But yeah, I'm really into essential oils. That's essential oils and colloidal silver, natural antibiotics, and things like that are all I have used for like 40 years. That's how I just got over COVID, with essential oils and biominerals and things like that. So yeah, I'm a little bit of a natural medicine junkie.
Cooper's mad at me right now because I was spraying his wounds with colloidal silver today. I was like, and then I squirt some in my mouth too. So, lots and lots of different natural tools that you guys can be looking into and using. Absolutely. So if you have questions about crystals, like I said, I'm going to post this stuff and just dive in. It can be a little bit addictive, I will tell you. It can be a little bit of a rabbit hole, but you can get focused and just set your intention with what your focus is right now. If your focus is protecting your energy, keeping negative energy at bay, look into the crystals that are going to be good for that. Pocket crystals are great. Antoinetta, start setting intentions with your pocket crystals. If you're one of those women that has them stuck in your bra and stuck in your socks and stuck in your pockets and all those things, set intentions with that. And be sure to be charging and cleansing them, because if you're carrying your pocket crystals around and then you're out amongst all the human folk and there's lots of negative energy, then you want to go ahead and, charge and cleanse your crystals. So lots of different ways you can use them. Thank you, Tom. I got to take some electrolytes real quick, guys, so my feet will stop cramping up. So that being said, I'll get all of that posted. And you guys, like I said, you can print off the grids. You can take a screenshot of these grids, and then print it off, however you want to do it. That being said, now let's talk about where everybody's at, because when I checked in, what was it, yesterday? everybody was down in the dumps, which is okay. I am not faulting you guys for that. It is part of the journey, especially this time of year. So does anybody want to talk about what they're struggling with, where they're at? Even if it's stuff that we're repeating, guys, it's okay because repetition is the name of the game with neuroplasticity, guys. Don't ever feel bad to be like, I need to hear that again. I need to hear that again, because that's how we rewire the brain during this. That's how we work with the neuroplasticity, is by repetition, 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 because that's what digs the neural pathway, the new neural pathway. So does anybody want to go?
I'll go.
Okay, I'm gonna
can you hear
take
me?
this real quick while you're talking, Antoinette, so don't be
Okay.
offended.
So, there's, so I think with me, it was 2 years ago, and I'm reliving how Daniel took a downturn. I'm not sure if all you know, Daniel had cancer, he had melanoma, which is rare for kids. So I never cared for someone who had cancer before. So until Daniel came home, Daniel got it. So anyway, I'm reliving a lot of that trauma, because believe it or not, it was a lot of trauma, a lot. From the doctor telling him on Christmas Eve, you're going to die, which, was not appropriate. From all these scans showing that the cancer had spread everywhere, early December. And still fighting. Anyway, I'm reliving.
Are you having?
I keep going back to my camera. I like, even today, it's like, where was I 2 years ago today? What was Daniel doing? I feel guilty. Why did I even work part-time? I should have just taken the time off. He had less than a month, and here I am working. And
you know what that sounds like to me? That sounds like shoulda, coulda, woulda, Antoinetta.
I know, and then I'm reliving the trauma of that time, of seeing him go really downhill, and it's just playing over and over again in my mind.
Okay, so are you having flashbacks that are coming randomly, or are you leading yourself into it? First of all, is what I want to know.
I think it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit of both.
The first and foremost, if you are traveling backwards or you're traveling forwards, that means you're not being present.
I know. You said just focus on today.
Well, and here, it sounds easy peasy, right? Easy peasy.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the hardest fucking things that it was for me to train myself to do in the first 2 years.
So just to say, any parent that fought cancer with a child, all you could do was live day to day. Like, you couldn't think too much ahead or too backwards, because you just couldn't. You had to stay present. So it was challenging then, and it's challenging now. I just keep remembering everything we were going through that last month with him, and then I think about how much he enjoyed Christmas and all the funny things he would do. And
so in that, you're back to thinking about how he was in past tense. So when you start thinking of your kids in past tense, guys, you close the door on their existence right now. And I know that sounds harsh. I know it sounds harsh. And I know it sounds difficult. It is extremely difficult. But when you allow yourself to walk back down the road of the past, your kids cannot get to you right now, because your brain is already taken up in awareness of the past, of the memories, of the trauma, of the flashbacks. And training yourself to be present, guys, is something you're going to have to do over and over and over again with several different levels. Because what happens is you train yourself to it, you do it, you start living it, and then you get complacent and your ego goes, oh, loop in, whoom, I can
Right,
take her right
right.
back. So here's the deal.
Plus, yeah, and plus his angel anniversary is coming up
Of
too.
course.
So
Yeah.
it's just everything together, and everybody works. Oh, have a great holiday. I'm like, I'm just gonna be happy to get through it. And like,
And
yeah,
that's okay for this year. That's okay for this year. If that's where you're at this year, you guys, that's okay. You do whatever you need to do to stay present and stay in comfort as much as you can, okay? The thing about that is that you still have a choice. You have a choice to go backwards and relive all of it in increments or all the way, or to stay present. If you can train this comes back down to awareness, guys. Awareness of yourself. It's back to the basics, grounding every day, changing it up, getting outside, walking barefoot, doing the tree visualization grounding, leaning into practicing presence. I posted a healing activity. I do a whole class on practicing presence. And I posted some of the healing activities we do in that class. And they're things like when you're brushing your teeth, instead of letting your mind wander back, you keep your mind focused and in this present moment. You feel the suds in your mouth. You feel in with your five senses, the bristles on your gum, on your teeth. You taste, you lean into the taste of the mint. You become fully immersed into that rote activity that you're doing, so that your brain is in awareness of right now. Because when your brain is in awareness right now, it can't go backwards and it can't go forwards. And right now is where your kid can pop in and say, you still have to brush your teeth, and I don't have to do that anymore. And it sucks to brush my teeth twice a day, and I don't have to do that anymore. That's one of the ways that Leaf first started coming to me, Antoinetta, is because I was practicing being really present, like brushing my teeth. And I heard him clear as day start just busting up laughing, like, ha ha ha, you can't even get on me for not brushing my teeth anymore because I don't have to brush my teeth anymore. And I was like, are you kidding me, child? You know? So in that moment of staying present right then and there, doing something as mundane as brushing my teeth, I opened the door to Leaf now, right? I opened the door to Leaf now. Did it take massive brain power and willpower to do that? Hell yes. And it is exhausting. It is so exhausting being moment to moment aware of where your thoughts are. But you are not your thoughts, and you are in charge of your thoughts. Okay. So, and here's the thing, Antoinetta, for parents who walked the cancer journey, what you just said about I had to train myself to be right there every moment and not go forward, or I would, spiral into that abyss. That was that divine journey of planting those seeds, because you were going to need that now. You know what I mean? And really, even people without trauma, I don't know that there is anybody anywhere without trauma of some sort, quite honestly. But even in our day to day journey, when you get past this really heavy part and you're further out and you start cultivating joy and stepping into it more and more, I still have to practice presence. It's more natural for me now, but I will, and it's not even a trauma response now. It can be when I feel bored or unamused or unentertained or whatever. Like, I have to lean into being present, because if not, it'll start like, it doesn't go back to my trauma now, but it'll start, woo, wonder what Omri's doing. And then it'll be like, oh God, where's Omri going to live in January? You know what I mean? So you can spiral forward or you can spiral backward. And being present is extremely, extremely beneficial in this time. It helped me because I was kind of mean to my ego, right? So it helped me to really keep saying to myself, like, Nikki, don't shut the door on Leaf. If your brain is not present where he can get to you and walk through that into that awareness, then I've slammed a door on him. And I don't want to slam a door on my child's presence. I might as well, I wouldn't do it if he was standing at my door in physical. So I'm not going to do it to him in spirit, right? And so I correlated that with, like, I'm going to stay very present so I can keep my door open to him. You know what I mean? Another piece of that, Antoinetta, is you have cellular memory happening. Guys, cellular memory is real. your body gears up. It remembers the trauma. It gears up. Oh my God, here we're going into Christmas. Trauma. So your body reacts to it. You start getting kicked into fight or flight. Your cells start releasing the same chemicals it released when the trauma happened. Okay. There are a lot of actual physiologic things that are going on when we walk into holidays. And so many of you in this program this year have actual milestone. You have birthdays, you have angel days within the holiday season. Like, I'm astounded by the number of you in here this year that have that. So when we're talking about things like that, we have to incorporate mind, body, and spirit. Okay. That means we have to be doing things on a somatic level as well. We have to be working with that cellular memory, guys, okay? We have to work with that fight or flight response and that chemical response. The ways to do that, we amp up self-care, we amp up boundary setting, we amp up rest time, right? I don't care if y'all have to take to the bed for a day. Take to the bed for a damn day and watch some funny TV just to shut it off for just 24 hours if need be, right? Now, other things to do, somatic release. I in healing activities, I've posted some somatic release techniques. I'm going to see if I can get a hold of Jeff Granville's breath work too from last year and post in. Dave Gieselman has an amazing breath work. It's a free women's group where he does breath work that will reset the parasympathetic nervous system. Caroline did it with us, super intense, but whoa, it's amazing. There are things that you can be doing to work mind, body, and spirit. Okay. With cellular memory, you have it. The more you know, guys, the more you understand about what your body's going through when you hit the cellular memory stuff. You know, the more you know, the more you grow. And the more you know, the more peace you can find, because you can almost be like, okay, I know I'm connected to my child, but I also know that my body is going through this. So if my body is going through this and it's amping up my grief, then I can combat that these certain ways through somatic stuff, through breath work, through tapping. Grief tapping is huge. And I think I've posted a grief tapping in healing activity. I'll go back and check. If not, I'll, these are things, guys, right now to literally be incorporating every single day. Do a quick breath work session a couple times a day. You can do that driving in the car. Can't do Dave's driving in the car, but you can do other ones driving in the car. Do tapping. You can do tapping while you're just sitting on the couch watching TV, because you're tapping energetic points. Lots of different stuff. Who all does somatic release and tapping and these sorts of things? Have any of you guys, I know some of y'all have dabbled with this. It's extremely effective.
I did some sound healing not that long ago, sound healing class that I went to. It's interesting. A lot of these things that you're talking about, we tried with Daniel to help him fight cancer. We did the oils, we did the tapping, we did the crystals. He got into them too. He got into the crystals too. So it's really interesting.
Yeah, it's like you were using all the tools to try for physical healing when he had already written that into a soul contract. That's one thing, guys. You cannot detour a soul contract by these healing tools, right? Any physical death that was supposed to be prevented has been prevented. Okay? So I know Debbie. Where's Debbie at? Where's Debbie? I don't know where she went. Oh, there she is. Debbie was the same way with Isaac. They used so much stuff that when I started coaching with her, she was like, Nikki, I don't want, I've done that stuff. I don't want to do that stuff. I'm like, well, you were doing that in a different context though. And we kind of worked through that same thing, didn't we, Debbie? Like that was Isaac's soul contract. So you can't detour that, but now you can use those things to work on your emotional healing, right? So
I have some of Daniel's stones. That's what I'm saying. I have some of his crystals. So
that's awesome. That's awesome, Antoinetta. The other thing to remember, guys, because this is a balance, right? I'm not, and Antoinette, I'm not telling you to bypass the heavy emotions at all. You guys know me well enough to know that I say kick, scream, cry, cuss, get snotty, lay on the floor, roll around, punch the walls, whatever you need to do, cuss God, whatever you need to do to purge that pain up and out. If you're crying, I'm going to cheer you on because we need to cry. If it comes, it needs to happen. So I don't want you bypassing that, but I do want you to implement tools if you're so inclined to move through it, right? Because you can move through it and then experience, maybe it's just an hour of peace, and then it comes again and you have to move through it again. Maybe it's a day of peace and you move through it and it comes again. Maybe it's 3 days of peace. My 5-year memories came up today, guys. I told you about the time I think it was year one. It was year one because it was 5 years ago. So in year one, when I went to Target and tried to do the Christmas shopping, and I walked through buy all the fancy socks and this and that, and I'm snotted, had to be taken out of the store by my mother. She tried to take me to lunch because I love to eat. Couldn't eat, snot everywhere. Like, that was 5 years ago today. And I read that today and I was like, holy crap. Like, wow, what a journey. What a journey, right? And so the point of it is to move through it. Don't bypass it, but move through it. And use the tools, especially right now, because I have electrolyte powder like clogging up my throat now. Especially right now, guys, utilize the tools that are going to work with your physiology. Okay? Utilize the tools, the somatic release stuff, the breath work stuff, the tapping. Tapping didn't always work for me. I didn't do tapping a ton, but when it got really, really, really heavy, that's when I was opening up my toolbox and I was pulling out anything and everything I could, man. Anything and everything I could. So I put on megahertz and I walked through tapping several times a day sometimes. And the good thing about the tapping is that it also brings you back to being in your body, right? Because any kind of physical sensation in your body is always the first message that gets through before an emotional message, usually on a regular, right? So tapping is really good to get you back in your body as well. So Antoinetta, I would say to start, accumulating, pulling back out of your toolbox and readjusting your daily healing stuff. Maybe set an alarm every hour for 5 minutes. Do a tapping, do a breath work. Make sure, maybe you've been doing 528 megahertz, so we change it up to a different megahertz. Do stuff to intentionally raise your vibration, even if you don't feel like it. This is after you move through it, right? So that you don't become it. So get up and dance for 2 seconds. Maybe do some jumping jacks, anything to get you back down into your body where you can be present and practice presence. Practice it in mundane rote things, guys. When you're folding laundry, get into your 5 senses, feel the fabric, look at the vivid colors, look at the way the fabric moves and folds, look at the way your hands engage in moving and folding it. Another great practicing presence, and it's kind of funny, when I did the class, people were like, oh my God, that took so long, Nikki, because I had them when they sat down to eat breakfast. I wanted them really leaning into that experience. I think it was Bernie. She said, I ate peanut butter toast for breakfast today, and it took me like 35 minutes, Nikki, because I was having them like actually focus when they were chewing on it and the texture in their mouth and the, mastication through the teeth. And she was like, it took so long because I ate peanut butter toast this morning to do this activity. But it's an extremely effective activity because it keeps you present and in the now, which opens the door to your child, which means they get to join you, and it keeps you down in your body, because otherwise you're popping out of your body, going back down into the trauma loop, right? And this is actually what I did for my flashbacks too, Antoinetta, is I would recognize when they came. Now, I would recognize when they came, and then I would shut the thought down because I didn't want to relive the trauma, because I didn't want those trauma chemicals flushing out into my system. And then I would tap and I would I would literally sometimes walk around my house going, and I would feel the vibration on my lips, right? Then after that, what I would do is I started reiterating my truth. I went back to my basic Abraham Hicks videos. That's part of what I'll post that. I took a screenshot of the post on my memories today because it said something about I had a really bad day attempting to shop. I had to come home, and after a huge purge or whatever, I immediately sat down and started listening to Abraham Hicks because I needed my truth reiterated to me. And so it's a good time, guys, to carry around. Those of you that have written your deeper truth out on note cards, if you have it, it's a good idea. Keep that note card in your pocket. So at any time when you recognize these thoughts that you're going back to the trauma of the past and closing the door on your child, you can whip out that note card and have the physical sensation in your hand and read it in black and white or purple or pink, whatever color your pens are. And you can recite that out loud, because then you're also working with universal energy, right? Because you're speaking words. You're speaking words that reiterate your truth. The other part of that is you can't pain feed yourself. Guys, who here recognizes when they're pain feeding themselves? I recognize that when I'm doing it, it's not about leap anymore, but boy, howdy, I can do it in a lot of other ways. Does anybody recognize when they're pain feeding? You do, Antoinetta? Okay. All right. Both
Yeah,
of them?
I purposely go listen to certain songs that I know are going to make me bawl.
If you need to bawl, that's okay. But if you're in a state where you're trying to actively shift, if you need a purge, guys, man, you can pain feed yourself a little bit when you feel a purge coming. You're like, damn, I just wish this dam would break and I could get it done. That's okay to pain feed them. But as you're moving through that and then you've purged it and you really in your core want to start shifting back into the present in your truth, then that's when you have to recognize what's happening in your pain feeding. Because a lot of times it's happening and we don't even realize it. If you're going back and looking at your memories of the trauma that you had, guys, I didn't start looking at my memories until this year. My memory posts, I did not start reading and looking at those until the start of, actually, it was year 4. Year 4, I started reading those. Okay. I did not go back and look at old pictures of Leaf. I did not look at 3 years ago, 2 years ago on this day. I did not do that because it fed my pain and my trauma. And that's not what I needed at that point. So we have to become cognizant of what we need at that point with our healing intention. Okay. And I know that's a hard one because they pop up on Facebook, right? I mean, that's a hard one. If you can do it when you're in a space to be like, oh, now I can do it. I'm like, oh, we were having such fun sledding that year, or blah, 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 whatever. And I can reminisce, but not become it. Like, that's not pain feeding. But if you're still in a place where it's going to go whoosh, and literally plant your butt back in that time space continuum, that becomes pain feeding. Does that make sense? And it's a doozy. And here's the kicker about it, guys, is I wish I could do it for you, but all I can do is tell you what to do, because this is where like our own probably sovereignty comes in and our own self-governance comes in, right? We are actually the only one that can make the decision to do it. And I got to the point with myself that I was like, you know what? I can't keep feeding myself and being sad and then getting pissed because I'm not finding joy. Like, I can't have both sides of that, right? Not anymore. I mean, there was a time when I could do that, when grief and joy coexisted for me. But I knew from very early on that I could not live with grief and joy coexisting for me forever. Like, that was not sustainable for me personally. You each get to make that your own decision on that, though. Okay. So I don't want you guys to think I'm being harsh or like reprimanding you, because that is not my intention whatsoever. I'm saying if you decide at some point to make the choice to go further into joy than grief, then these are some of the things you can do. And in the midst of it, to make things lighter and achieve moments of peace, these are tools that you can use to utilize those things as well. So change it up. If you're really caught in a cellular memory loop right now, you guys, it's time to change it up. It's time to add in some tapping. And I know for me, it was like, man, I thought I was doing so good because I've been doing this and this and this. And then I got you really good doing this and this and this. And then it was like, shit, that didn't feel like that's work anymore. So now I have to change it up. So then I would open up the toolbox, pull out something else that I'd kind of dabbled in maybe a year or two before, and I started back with it. And then that piece would work more than what it worked the first time I tried it because it wasn't meant for me the first time. So it's good to revisit certain things too that maybe didn't work for you before because maybe that wasn't the time that your spirit knew you needed it, but you have it on deck, right? Does that make sense? Am I making sense or am I just rambling? I can't ever tell.
I can kind of understand where obviously Antoinetta was talking about, and
Absolutely.
obviously when you go through that, it's a horrific thing. Well, all of us, losing our kids. But too, I think some of it is like that survivor's guilt. You
Oh,
can't
yeah.
sit there and watch your baby, suffer and eventually die. And I think that's one of the hard parts too of having a child with an illness is that hopeless feeling like you could do everything. Like you said, you're not God, as you've been teaching me, and we did everything. We had 3 natural paths. We traveled all around the world. We did essential oils. I joined churches where we did, like, I spoke in tongues. I spoke to his ear every night to rewire his brain. I mean, you name it. We ate a certain way. He could only eat, keto, and we whatever there was, we were going to beat it, because we were going to do all naturopath and holistic and you name it. And obviously, I learned I wasn't God, but that point of that's the part that sticks in your head is that hopeless of just there is nothing you can do but watch your child just wither away and die, and that's that hopeless.
It's like
That's the
prolonged
part.
powerlessness. It's
Yeah,
power.
and
You're powerless.
and I sometimes I don't know if I painting, but I like to go in the past because that's where my baby's body was. That's where I got to hold and touch and kiss my baby. So I'm guilty about that. Maybe I do paint because I like to go back to the past because I like to think about what it was like to hold and touch him. But it's that almost like survivor's guilt. I don't know if that's what Antonetta was saying, but it's almost like that survivor guilt, and that sticks with you
Yeah.
of watching that baby die, and there's nothing you can do. And that's the part I think maybe she struggles. I know I struggle with is how to move
Absolutely.
past that survivor's guilt. Um, but yet, I don't want to give up the past because I'm not ready to give up his body. So that's where his body is where I could kiss him.
Mhm.
But yeah, how do you move past the survivor's guilt with and then that hopeless feeling that you're not God and you couldn't, but how do you move past that
Well, you don't move past it. You have to move
or
through it.
through it?
And you have to move through it by really taming the ego part and knowing your
Mhm.
truth and surrendering to it. It's about surrender. Okay.
Mhm.
So surrender to the fact that you are not God. Surrender to the fact that you did every single thing humanly possible.
Mhm.
Surrender to the fact that you did as much as you could with the knowledge that you had at the time. Right. And Antoinetta, that's one thing about you going back and saying, oh my gosh, I went to work and I shouldn't have went to work. With the knowledge that you had at the time and the experience that you were having at the time and whatever your financial need was at the time, you made the best decision that you could. It's a lot about surrender. And surrender is not an easy place to get to, guys. And you're
No,
going to
it's not.
find that you can surrender into small things and small moments. Surrender is much like being present. It is something, and it's much like choosing your healing. Sometimes you have to literally do it and be aware that you're willing to do it every single moment. I would walk the house and I would say, I surrender, I surrender, I surrender, I surrender. You guys have prolonged, like it's a long journey of survivor's guilt. those of us with sudden physical death that was completely unexpected, we have it as well in a different way. Okay. It came on and it hit us like a ton of bricks. Like it felt like whiplash. So even me working through that, and I have private clients that have walked the cancer journey, and we talk surrender a lot, right? But either way,
Yeah.
prolonged or sudden, that part is about surrender, and it's about knowing your truth and retraining your brain to your truth so completely that at some point you can surrender and say, I did do the best I could, and I'm not God, and I can't keep anybody. We can't even keep ourselves here, guys. If we have an exit point that our soul's ready to take, there's nothing you can do humanly possible, even for yourself, to keep you here. Okay? So it's surrendering to literally the broader perspective and the deeper truth. It's not a light switch though. It takes little baby steps to do it over and over.
Surrendering, like, why them and not me, right? Then you just have to surrender to that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the part where knowing your truth comes in. My truth is like my deepest truth that resonates with me personally. And it's not like I just came upon this in year one and was like, oh, that's my truth. We all good now. Like that, it was a process of retraining my brain to what my spirit was telling me was right and true. Is that Leaf's soul never intended to stay here longer than my soul. In this script and this screenplay that we wrote this time, he got to pop out early because he was going to learn what he had to learn way the hell sooner than I did, apparently. And in that, he could go there and also he became my teacher, and he led me into things that my soul wanted to learn. So it's about looking at it from broader perspective. You know, James said something the other night. He didn't say it in the same way that I talk it, but when he said it, it completely resonated with me because he said, you know, this is my truth. I live in it. I live in my broader perspective 90% of the time. That's how I am too, guys. I train myself to live not in this limited earth perspective, but in the broader perspective. And even with Omri now, I surrender as a parent probably 1,000 times a day still with Omri. Okay. You know, she's 20 years old. She's in her therapy. She's doing this. She's trying to adult. And I will try to control that. I will, right? And even today I was like, oh, good Lord Almighty, I surrender. And here's a prime example of what happens when you surrender. Because when you're not surrendering, you're in resistance, right? You're in resistance to the divine plan, right? You're resisting the flow. So here's an example of that. And it's not about death, but it's a very earthly example. Bobby has been paying for Omri's therapy, right? Because she won't listen to her mother. She has to have an outside source. I'm like, he's telling you the same thing I tell you. Anyway, today her dad says, I need Omri to stop counseling for a few months because I'm switching jobs and blah, 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 what the hell ever, blah, 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 right? And I was my blood pressure spiked because she's doing really good processing childhood trauma that he and I put her through in our crapola of a marriage, right? Because she's pretty well worked through her death trauma with her brother and her friends. And so she's delving into way past deeper trauma that affects her. My blood pressure spiked, and I was like, oh, this son of a bitch, here we go again. Blah, 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 right? Blah, 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 blah. And she calls me and she's upset. And I said, Omri, text your therapist and just ask him if he has a sliding scale. We'll see what we can do. Tell him that dad is, and he's worked with her dad before, like on his therapy when he was in it. And I said, tell him dad's switching jobs or it's quit his job, whatever, and just ask what he can do. Let's figure it out. And the man says to her, and in between me talking to her and her texting her, I was like, okay. I'm surrendering this to you. I'm surrendering this to you. And she calls me back and she said, Dan, who is her therapist, she said, Mom, he said not to worry about it. He really likes the progress I'm making, and he's just going to work with me pro bono until dad can get back to paying. And I was like, that's the power of surrender, guys. That's the power of surrender. When I stopped trying to think I was in control of it, whether past, present, future, whatever it is, and you step into surrender, you release your resistance to flow, and it unfolds the way it's supposed to. Okay. So you have to take that and apply it to your trauma too. If you're being resistant to your surrender of your truth, of the fact that you're not that powerful, you're going to keep conjuring up pain. It's a lack of surrender is painful. Is surrender easy? Hell no. No, it's probably one of the hardest parts of this journey, but it's one that if you will start practicing it, it gets a little bit easier. Okay. The other part of that, Debbie, you wanting to go back, and if it's not painful for you to go back and remember touching Isaac's body, maybe that's a way you connect with him. That could very well possibly be him as a way, knowing that you need that physical part still right now, that may be him playing into that with you. If you can go back and remember those pieces and it doesn't become you, and it doesn't throw you into the lack of him, then I don't see any problem with that at all. Okay. I mean, I can go back now. Now I can go back and remember what Leaf's hugs felt like. And that actually denotes a connection to me with him now, because then I can better feel his energetic hug with me, if that makes sense. So it's a point of connection for me now. Whereas in year 1 or 2, that's not what it was. So I didn't go back there at that point. So you have to figure out where you're at on your journey and in your healing and what that looks like for you. If you're going back and that is a point of connection so you guys can connect with his physical body, then beautiful. But if it's a point of reliving it and then it throws you into longing and missing, that's the key. Is you have to look at where your thoughts are, and if your thoughts are adding to your pain, then it's pain feeding. But if it's bringing you peace, then that's not pain feeding. Does that make sense?
Nikki.
Hey, Kate.
Sorry, I had to turn my video off for a second. So just because I need a little clarification, it was an issue the other day in like both of the groups, is that you are very stern in your role of no pain feeding, like when people are,
That's no pain feeding each other, not like, okay, so yeah.
So I just clarify that for everybody. So like,
what that is when you're in the group, and I want you guys to post if you're in pain, but as the people that are responding, the pain feeding that can happen within comments can become an issue. So if Kathy Elliott goes on and says, oh my God, I'm down in it today, I miss Sophie so much, I can't even stand it, I want to die. If I go on and say, oh my God, girl, I want to die too, I fucking hate this journey, it's so damn painful, and then Anita comes in and says, oh my God, Nikki and Kathy, it is, I fucking hate it too. I mean, by the end of the day, you have a death pact with 54 people. You know what I mean? So, and there's collective energy behind that. So I did. I'm glad you saw that, Kate, because I have, and it happens about every 4 months where I piss somebody off. I inevitably, not me, guys, right? I piss somebody off because when they're pain feeding when somebody goes in and they're purging their pain in a post and they come back in and they pain feed them, and we have 10 other women that come in and pain feed them. You guys have been in darker groups. You know what that looks like. It brings the whole collective energy of the group down. And before you know it, you have 1,200 people that are down in it, man. And it's up to Kathy and it's up to me to go in and field every one of those and try to help offer a shift, which usually pisses them off more. So if that's what it is, Kate, and Caroline, when you came on, you were like, I'm telling on myself. It's never telling on yourself, guys. I do not want you bypassing it. Sharing it, putting voice to it, articulating it verbally is extremely therapeutic. But what I don't like to see, because of the collective energy piece of it, is when Caroline posts that, if Lee comes in and says, oh God, Caroline, it's that we all are me too. Like, we all are me too. We know the pain. We know that part so thoroughly ingrained in every fiber of our being that it's a given, right? So I don't have to go on, and Lee doesn't have to go on and tell Caroline, like, oh, girl, I hear you. This sucks. We hate it. It's fucking horrible. I want to die. You know what I mean? So that's the difference. That's why, and the funny thing is, in HWP and Healing Warrior Parents, we have so many posts. I made a video over it. I made a stinking video over it. It's all in the featured tabs that says, when you're responding, come in and say, I'm there with you. I'm sending you so much love. I'm sending you so much healing. I understand, and that gal had said, and she tried, bless her heart. She said, I understand. My heart is with you on the most painful journey that there is. We all know, like, it's our damn journey too. It's freaking painful, man. So that's why when I went in and offered the shift, it pissed her off. She still has not left the group, mind you. So, and she said she was, and I am stern. I went and I said, I'm sorry if that upsets you. I wasn't trying to offend you, but I have a responsibility to the collective energy here. And we try to feed each other with light. That doesn't mean don't go on, Kate, and post, holy shit, I'm down in it. It's a crap day. I hate this journey. I hate this. Screw God, screw my soul contract. Post all of that. But when you see somebody else post that, that's when we go in and we say, hey, we get it. Keep going. There's hope. I promise. Choose to keep going. I promise you there's hope if you work at it. That's what Healing Warrior Parents is about. So that's the difference.
It reminds me of, Nikki.
Yes, ma'am.
It's those groups that say, so a newly bereaved parent comes in and says, does this ever get better? And you get these hundreds of posts. No, it just gets worse. I'm in my 20th year. It never gets different. It never gets better. And it just feeds on itself, and it just makes you want to just go kill yourself. I mean, really.
Well, and I will tell you, in my first 6 months, I befriended a woman, and her name was Irene. And it was probably my first 4 months, actually. I had only been finding Leaf about a month. It was actually around Christmas, so it's probably coming up, to be quite honest with you. I had been in all the darker groups. I had, got a lot of pain feeding going on from other people. We did all that, the me too, fucking hate it, blah, 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 all that. And then I started finding Leaf, and I felt a little glimmer of hope, right? And I was like, oh my God, maybe it doesn't, maybe it can get better. People are telling me it can't, but maybe it can. I don't know. So I was finding Leaf, and I was learning how to communicate, and I was finding my truth, and I was using a lot of tools, thanks to Google. And I befriended this mom, and she was with her husband, who was a doctor in like a third world country. So the only support that she had was the internet. That was it. Really much like most of us, quite honestly, as far as people getting it, right? And I was the only one telling her, like, just hold on, just hold my hand, I'll tell you what I'm doing, and then you do it. Like, I'm here 24 hours a day, whatever, I promise. Mine's gotten a little bit lighter in 4 months. Will you please just hold on with me? And she held on for about 2 weeks. And then she completed. I now know, of course, that she wouldn't have been able to complete suicide had it not been an exit point for her. On the flip side of that, before I understood that, though, it hit me that day like, holy fuck, shit's getting real. Like, I just realized how powerful collective energy is and what part of this is fed. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that is exactly what it was. And that's exactly why Healing Warrior Parents is different, and it is why I'm so adamantly stern about it, because it is life or death. And while I understand the need and that it can be helpful at first, right? When you're really down in it, it is so helpful to know that other people are that fucking miserable as you, right? I understand that so much. But there comes a point where that is not conducive to survival or healing anymore. And people don't realize that one word can determine a bereaved parent's attempt to leave or attempt to heal. Like literally one sentence, it can be that detrimental. So that's why I'm always pissing all the people off with my boundaries. So yeah, that's why. And everybody here is amazing at it. I mean, I think everybody here gets it. You guys have been in the group long enough to know, like you do. We send each other love, we send each other light, we send each other comfort, we send each other healing, but we don't generally say, oh man, Debbie, I want to die today too. How's 4 o'clock looking for you? Let's get on the phone and get her done. You know what I mean? Because it can spiral that quickly. And there have been times that the big group has gotten really, when we've had an influx come in of new people that, I mean, you can ask Kathy, she'll check on me. I'm like, I am so freaking drained right now because I've went in and fielded 150 pain feeding comments today, So yeah, that's the line, Kate.
That's wonderful. Yes, thank you for clarifying that because I'm like, well, shit, what am I not supposed to say and what word should I not use? But like that makes it so much easier to understand that offer words of healing. That's why we're here.
Offer words of healing. Yeah.
Well, here's a prime example that's posted in the group right now in the HWP group. Somebody posted that, her daughter's been dead since 2013, but she's feeling really angry right now for some reason. Okay, well, the holidays are coming up. That's pretty acceptable, right? But a comment under that, understanding hugs, because every day we wake up to this hell all over again. No.
I've obviously not seen that comment yet.
Yeah,
as my blood pressure rises right now.
And that kind of comment, it's only hell if you choose for it to be hell every day.
Yeah.
You gonna handle that one?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, thank you.
I was just reading a post in one of the Helping Parents Heal groups yesterday, I think it was, where a mom says that the worst part of her day is as soon as she opens her eyes, because when the sun comes up, it shines on this cardboard cutout of her son that she has in her room from his memorial. And every morning when the sun hits his eye, it reminds her of how his eye looked in the ICU when they had to pull the plug on him. And I had to literally smack my hands because we weren't in Healing Warrior Parents to not say to her, get rid of the fucking cardboard cutout.
Move the cutout.
Fucking eye every morning. Because she was like, it gives me this pain in my chest and I have to lay in bed for at least 2 hours to make it go away.
Oh my.
No, stop.
It's the hot stove, right? That's what I was just talking to Debbie about with going back and with her memories of Isaac. Like, if it feels like you're touching a hot stove when you do that, don't touch it right now, right? Wait till later, then touch it when you got the calluses of the healing on your hand to touch it. But if you keep touching it, if you keep pouring salt in the trauma wound right now, guys, it's going to keep festering and hurting and it's going to get inflamed, And we're by no means saying bypass it. And it gets lost in translation a lot, Kate. I will tell you, because people get that way. They're like, oh God, what are we supposed to say?
Words of healing.
Words of healing.
Yeah,
words
that makes it very easy.
And quite honestly, I'm probably a little curt about it now because I've been doing it for 4 years. And so, I've posted so many vast resources and I've fielded this so many times, and we even in the entry questions to Healing Warrior Parents, we reiterate this. So, sometimes I get a I have to come back into my heart space because I'm like, oh my gosh. But we have new people that come in. But sometimes I will check and see how long they've been a member. And the gal yesterday has been a member for quite some time. So she knows what I'm about, and she knows that she knows,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
know? So
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Good stuff.
So if I ever come off as a stone cold bitch, I'm sorry. I just don't mince words well, guys.
I mean,
So
it makes sense because it is like an emergent thing. If you have someone that is in that low of a position and someone else comes in, and says, yeah, this is what it's like for 20 years.
well,
Fuck
and you
that.
guys know, when you got all of you who before you took your first class with me, were you kind of scared to take your first class because you didn't know if it was going to be a super, super heavy experience? Because
I have to say, like, this one support group, like you said, that you've been to, they just talk about how unfair it is over and over again. And I'm like, I know, I don't need to be reminded. I'm at that point where I'm like, I don't need to be reminded.
that's the point where you know that you're ready to step into your healing. That's when I left all those groups, guys. And I'm not saying those groups are bad. They serve a huge purpose. They do. The problem is that people don't understand. Um, in grief, people can start wearing their grief like a cloak and a coat of entitlement. And I know people in my personal life that have done that. And so they don't end up leaving those groups when misery loves company, you guys. Misery loves company, period. Thank God I'm a little bit of a loner, I guess, because it wasn't the company. I'm a big emotional baby. It was not the company I could keep for very long. So
I was gonna say, Nikki, I was gonna say that like before, I remember before I took my first class with you, I was nervous because I was reading a lot of the posts, and I thought I was a little scared because I thought that I was gonna get a lot of flack if I like expressed that I was having a bad day, or if I said I missed Kaya or something. Because but I don't, like, the longer I'm in the group, I feel like it's not about that. I mean, people, I think we all know that we're all going to have those moments. It's just,
absolutely.
I had one of those days yesterday too, but I think the difference is, like, you're going to have those times, you're going to have those feelings, but the difference is we don't want to stay there.
You want to move through it.
Yeah. And so I
Yeah.
think that's the difference. I mean, I have to, sometimes, like, I belong to those groups, but I don't follow them. And I feel like my energy just immediately gets so low after I just read a few of those comments. And I have to look away because, like, I will go there. Like, I don't want to,
Yeah.
so
Guys,
it's not about like not, yeah. Go ahead.
I don't know, even 5 years, I mean, I like to think that well, I take that back. I don't think I would go there because I do. I mean, that's the work I do now, right? So when I'm doing private clients, like we sit in that. I sit with them in that and we move through that, right? And here's the deal, guys. Like I want if you all came in here and you're all like, oh, I'm good. The life's good, it's great. I'll be like, bullshit, 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 bullshit. Y'all are bypassing. Everybody's bypassing. I want you guys to express those moments. That's part of the moving through it, right? Like that's part of the moving through it. You having that day the other day, Susan, man, you pinned it in your post too. You were like, this is where I've been all morning and I'm ready to move out of it. So this is what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? So I want you guys not to bypass it. Absolutely. You have to feel, guys, you have to feel all of it. You have to feel every nook and cranny, crack and crevice, layer, level that there is. And there are a lot. There are a lot. And if you don't sweep out every single nook and cranny and crack and crevice and feel it and mourn it and grieve it and purge it, then that prolongs your grief journey. Because then in 7 years, you think you're doing good. And guess what? that dirty old crap that you never dealt with bites you in the butt, and then you're down on the floor. I was hell-bent and determined to explore literally every area that was painful, every thought, every feeling that was painful, because somehow I instinctively knew that if I didn't, that it was going to take me longer to live my best life. And if I was going to stay here, when I made the recommitment to staying here, I did that with the intention of eventually being led and letting my best life unfold. And it has been fucking terrifying, you guys. It is, talk about surrender. Holy cannoli. It has been terrifying. Susan, you know, you're kind of going through that piece right now, right? It's like, oh shit. It's so scary. But guess what? It is the most freeing, happiest I've ever been in my entire life. Even though Leaf is not in his body, even though Leaf is dead, because I live so strongly in my truth that he's not dead. He outgrew his body. Lucky little bugger. Mine's getting old and saggy. He didn't have to experience that. You know, he doesn't have to down a package of salt and electrolytes so his feet don't cramp up while he's sitting on the bed. You know, so I lean into that focus on the found. And throughout my journey, when I started going, oh, he missed out on this, he missed out on this, I leaned into my truth of what that looked like. Did he? Is he missing out on that? No, because if he had wanted to experience that in this particular timeline, he would have written that in. So he's missed nothing. And if he wants to experience it, he can experience it on whatever timeline that he can pop over to now. You know, it's infinite possibility. And I don't have full throttle, you know, power of the cosmos in infinite possibility because I'm tethered in a body right now. But I'm damn sure going to figure out how much infinite possibility I can have while I'm in a body. That's what the intention, my healing intention became for my life, you know. And again, it's taken a lot of surrender. Surrender is a big name in this game, guys. And boy, howdy, it's a hard one. And you're going to have to do it in several different ways, on several different levels, really with every nook and cranny that there is. That is the last step to every level, is the surrender. It is the surrender. And ultimately, it's the surrender of, if I'm still here in my body, then I'm not done learning and growing. And I will surrender to that and let it unfold instead of being resistant to it at every turn. You know? Whoa, that got deep. Who else? And you know, I was proud of you guys. I was proud of you guys when I did the check-in yesterday, and everybody was like, I'm down in it. I'm down in it. Struggling here. I was like, all right, now we're getting some true talk going on, you know? Now we're getting some vulnerability going on. Good. Because I want you guys to share that with each other. I want you guys to share that with me. We can't move through it. We can't do anything about it if y'all don't talk about it. You know? And society has programmed us not to talk about the bad, sad, ugly shit.
Yeah,
Guess what?
If you can't be honest, what's the point, right? I mean,
What?
why be in the class?
Right? Well, I mean, really, I'll up you on that, Lynn. What's the point of even being on earth if you can't be honest and authentic?
Yeah, exactly.
That's one of the major gifts that the kids have given us, guys, is like, this is a group of women that we can, I mean, look at me, for the love of God, I'm the most unprofessional grief coach on the face of the earth. But you know what? I'm authentic and I care, and thank God those sorts of people are apparently drawn to me, you know, because if not, I'd be up shit creek. But that is a huge gift of this. If that's why when I put up about the holiday program, I always say, gift this to yourself. It's not the healing. I mean, it is the healing, but it's not just the healing. And it's not, oh, I'm all that and I can teach you this and that and the other. Y'all learn just as much from each other as you take away from me. I guarantee it. It's that you can come into this space And you can say and be and do however you need to be at any given moment. However you need to be at any given moment. And you will still be loved and seen. And that's powerful. You know, my hope is that one day society is that way to some degree, more than it is now. You know, and I have a feeling we're part of that shift. How you like them apples?
I hope that's right. I hope that's true.
I feel like it is. Now, that being said, we may not see the full shift in our lifetime this time,
True.
right? Because it's been a long time coming and it's building. But if we get to see a glimpse of it, which I feel like we do together at the very least, then I can be okay with that.
I'm starting to get sleepy.
Okay.
Even though I've been up since 5, so I'm gonna.
Oh, good Lord, woman!
Say, oh, it's my orange kitty. He's a stinker.
5 a.m. You need to go bed, Fred.
Yeah, I'm starting to fade. So anyway,
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing with us tonight, sis. We love you.
Love you too, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Y'all,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
go
I'm gonna
too.
have
I'm
to fly out
exhausted.
too. I'm gonna have to fly out too. I got to go to CVS before they close at 9:00.
I
Okay.
have another Zoom also. I'm late for another Zoom, so I'm
Okay.
sorry.
It's
I'll
okay.
see
I'm
you.
gonna go because I'm exhausted because I cried hard. I did not. And
Woo-hoo!
I told myself in the group because I refuse to feel that thing that happened a week and a half ago because it was the biggest one. And I've never done that. I've never been like, no.
You felt it today?
But I'm exhausted from crying. I'm tired. And I love y'all, and I'm so fucking grateful that at 3:00 in the morning, late March or early April, I stumbled upon your group. And I remember I was reading about it and I went, oh, thank God. You know, and I went, join group. Please let me in. But anyway, I love y'all too. Thank you.
Go rest.
I'm going to sleep.
Radical self-care time, Caroline.
All right, bye everybody.
All right,
Bye.
we love you.
If I
Bye.
can figure out how to get out of here. There we go.
Does anybody else have anything else to discuss or share?
Oh, we did our compassionate friends thing last Sunday.
How'd it go?
It was good, we did it actually. It was on Zoom, so it was on Sunday night. But it went well. I was able to read a poem, and I didn't get too upset. And I'll send you this poem, Nikki. You'd love it. It's by John. I can't think of his last name, but I'll send it to you. And it's really hopeful. And it's called "I Don't Believe in Death."
Oh, I know that guy. What is that guy's name?
Oh, John. Let me just.
He's amazing. He's the Dear God guy.
Yes, John Rodell.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
He's a poet. He's an actual poet. Yeah.
Oh,
and he automatic writes with God too in his poetry. Yeah. I know him.
Amazing. Yeah.
Will you post it in the group? Will you post that in the group? Hey Tom, will you bring me the basket of oracle cards for me, please? Yeah, post it in the group because it's amazing. It's great.
It's just beautiful. Like it's irreverent and it's lighthearted, but it's just so poignant and I just really spoke to me, and that's why I decided to read it to the group. And
absolutely.
I was so glad I did. It's a really healing poem as well.
And it really speaks deeper truth too about physical death.
Totally.
You know, so I love that you were able to bring your truth in this year too.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome.
I think I'll just read you the last bit. It says, I'm not a scientist, but my research tells me that death doesn't exist. However, love does, and it has no end, and neither do we. I just love that. Just love that.
I love it. It's awesome. I'm like digging through, pulling out my oracle cards real quick, guys. I love that it was great too, that the candle lighting went well because you facilitated it this year, didn't you?
Well, I did last year too.
You did last year too?
But I was more of a host this year than I was last year.
Did you feel lighter this year when you did it?
Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. There's two of us that do it. You remember, you met Kim on the cruise, but you may not remember her. But she and I have taken over the group from the other
Nice.
facilitator. He kind of let go, but he still helps. He's just a great guy. And yeah, there's a couple of technical glitches, but that was okay. You know,
that happens.
oh, exactly. I mean,
I love that. Good night, Richika. Go ahead, Lynn. Go ahead.
I said I had a couple glasses too many of wine afterwards, but other than that, it was good.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say beforehand. I'm like, that was the Holy Candlelighting, wasn't it? Too funny. That's awesome. Anybody else? Does everybody feel a little bit lighter? Good, good. So don't forget to check your schedules. What is today? Wednesday. So I think Kathy is going to do a pop-up oracle card reading. I believe Friday or Saturday. We haven't decided yet. Good night, Rose. Go rest, girl. She's going to do a pop-up oracle card reading, and that's where you guys get individual readings. We have Reiki on Saturday. I want to say that's with Stacy this week. And then we have Marie Hess on Sunday. What is the date on Sunday? Is that the 19th? Marie Hess on Sunday. And then I think you'll be up. Then the next one will be on the 21st. We have rune readings with Kate. So lots of good, different. What time are you doing that, Kate? 7? Are you doing it at 7?
Yeah, 7 your time.
Okay, at 7. So lots of different kinds of readings going on this week, guys. Crystal grids to play with. Lots of good info. I'm going to be posting. I'll post some more breath work stuff in the group. I'll post some more somatic stuff to deal with cellular memory. And I'll get this crystal grid posted, this stuff posted tomorrow. And before we close out, I'm going to pull 2 cards. I'm going to pull from Messages from Heaven deck, just because those are direct messages from the kiddos. Very basic deck to start with. And then I'm going to pull from Judy Hall's The Crystal deck. You can't see it, the crystal deck. Okay? So I should let you pull the Messages from Heaven, Angie. She's gotten good at those. Okay. Okay. The card has frogs on it. It's got the number 17. Because when I do cards, I look at everything and see where messages for everything is. So it has frogs on it. It's a very strange picture. I don't know if you can see it. You see the frogs? Like, it's not just one frog. It's like a stack of frogs. And it says, have you laughed today? Find your joy and lift your soul. That's what I love about our classes. Is there may be some crying, but there's always some cussing and laughing too. So number 17, let's see. The best therapy is laughter, so the saying goes. There's so much truth in those few words. Watch comedies on television. Didn't I just say shut it off and watch some funny TV if you need to? Watch comedies on television, meet with friends and have a good laugh, or go out and try new things, which would be cultivating joy and adventure, which Tamika is amazing at, by the way. If you see Tamika's adventures with her family, she is cultivating joy and adventure all over the damn place. I'm always like, I'm so jealous. And next time you're in Orlando, if we don't get together for lunch, it is going to be your house.
We go to Dubai the day after Christmas.
You go, oh my gosh, are you kidding? How fun.
How broke am I going to be?
You have been on a wanderlust journey for like 6 months. It's awesome though. I love seeing the pictures. Too funny. Not only is it okay to laugh, it's important that you do so. Your loved ones are reminding you. Your laughter brings us so much joy, and we want you to enjoy your life. Okay? Thank you, Spirit. Thank you very much. And you're not going to be broke. You need to put out the manifestation abundance grid. I'm going to do it too. Let's do it together.
Yes, ma'am. And the only
Yeah.
reason I do it is because I've learned, like, when Sarai passed away, our last family vacation was that summer before she got sick. And so I just made it a point to be like, we will always have something together. So that's why we travel so much now.
I love it. That's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. One of these days, I'm going to be able to do that. One of these days. I'm manifesting it.
That's right.
I got work to do at the home front right now, apparently, though. So, all right, let's see what crystals they have to tell us about tonight. More. Okay. When I draw cards, guys, I listen. I use my telepathy, and I let Leaf or whoever's coming in higher up tell me when to stop shuffling. So I kind of talk to myself. I'm not talking to myself, but I talk to spirit when I'm doing it. Okay. At the bottom. Okay. And I let them tell me how many shuffles to pull off the top of the bottom, how many cards. Angie knows she's gotten good at it. She's got good with her telepathy. So it's number 45, and it's rhodochrosite. Have you heard of this, Kate? I have not heard of this one. Rhodochrosite.
I have, yes. I actually
You
have a
have
small,
it?
like, pocket one. A pocket, well, like a bra stone
Huh.
size.
And
It's
then
cute.
we've got a jumper, which is rose quartz, which is actually stuck in the book.
Pink.
Yep.
Pink.
So rose quartz is actually one of the grief healing crystals that we talked about earlier. Tanika, we talked about crystal grids and crystals. I don't know if you were on yet, so I'm going to post a bunch of information in the group about it too, so you'll know what the hell I'm talking about. Okay. So rose quartz is full of unconditional love and infinite peace. It draws long, loving relationships to you. It heals past emotional trauma and provides support during crisis. Self-understanding. You are a beautiful soul who has infinite peace deep within and enormous empathy. Relationships are where you learn your soul lessons. Heal heartbreak or abuse and dissolve toxic emotions and pain that prevent you from giving and receiving love. You have power to love unconditionally and to support others. In divination, forgive yourself. Love and beauty approach. Loneliness is at an end. Emotional blockages dissolve. Do not accept blame. Recognize that unconditional love and friendship draw exactly the right people to you. Once you love yourself, you can give and receive love from others. Support is available in times of crisis. The healing insight is unconditional love is the greatest gift you can give to yourself or another. The frequency of rose quartz is medium to high depending on the clarity of the stone. The chakra is of the heart. The timing is Taurus and Libra, and the soul path is radiating unconditional love. I love this deck. I got this at Chi Crystal down there, Melissa or Kate. And 45. Let's see what this little bad boy has to say. Hold on, I gotta find it. Ooh. So in this deck, this crystal falls into multi-dimensional variations of interactive. That's interesting. Rhodochrosite is the heart reviver. That's interesting. Rhodochrosite teaches the heart to assimilate painful feelings without shutting down, dissolving denial and identifying ongoing detrimental patterns. It offers compassionate love and forgiveness. You face the truth with loving awareness. Self-understanding is deep down. You may feel alienated, unloved, or unappreciated. A history of sexual or emotional abuse and trauma creates dis-ease. Or you may have, I need my readers. You may have misused or feared your power in the past. You may be repressing something you do not want to face. Irrational fears and paranoia and unacceptable painful emotions need to be acknowledged and transformed. Divination, a time for a change of viewpoint, shifting perspective. Begin to see the gifts in your experiences rather than seeing the negative effects, focusing on the found. Check out whether what you were taught in childhood is still relevant to the person you are today. Healing insight. Releasing resentment from your heart creates well-being. The frequency is high. The chakra is the heart, solar plexus, base, and sacral. The timing is summer, and the soul path is radiating unconditional love and selfless compassion. Both pretty spot on.
Which one was that? I think that was for me.
That one's called rhodochrosite.
Rhodochrosite. Okay.
Rhodochrosite. I'll post it in the group too, Tanika, so that you can see it.
Okay.
I'll get them both posted. That way you guys can actually, I'll get all three of them posted so you guys can see what all the messages were. This is a great fun deck to use though. Kate, you would like this deck a lot. So yeah. And pulling your crystal cards, that's a good way to see what you need to work with too. So I better be pulling some abundance crystal cards. All right, guys. Let's go ahead and close out. I'm so glad to see you guys tonight. Kind of see you. Lynn and Brenda, whoever has the cameras off, they always lurk in the background. So, all right. I just put the box up. Hold on. Everybody get your breath in and exhale. You don't have to turn it on, Brenda. Just to appease me. Did you go change your clothes out of your Christmas sweater? I can't hear you, sis.
It wasn't a sweater, it was pajamas.
That works. I have on the Santa sloth pants, and they're like fleece lined. And I'm about ready to spontaneously combust a heat with the long sleeve elf wear and the fleece lined PJs. Woo, it's hot up in here. All right, everybody, nice big deep breath in. Give a big stretch. Ah. Ah. Close your eyes and repeat after me. Archangel Michael, one of y'all are going to have to unmute or I can't tell when to say the next thing. Okay.
Archangel Michael.
We'll start again. Archangel Michael.
Archangel Michael.
Archangel Azrael.
Archangel Azrael.
Please come down.
Please come down.
Come down.
And cut all energetic cords.
And cut all energetic cords
that steal my vibration.
That steal my vibration.
That feed me negative energy.
That feed me negative
energy.
That do not serve my healing.
That do not serve my healing.
Serve me my healing.
Or my highest purpose.
Or my highest purpose.
Please surround and protect me.
Please surround and protect me.
In divine white light.
In divine white light.
Thank you, and so it is.
Thank you, and so it is.
So it is.
Get that energy moving through your hands, ladies. I look like I'm on a Christmas movie now with my elf suit and my...
You need elf ears.
I need Lee's socks. I do a jig for y'all if I have Lee's socks too. All right. Arms up, palms up. Deep breath in. Close your eyes. And assertively repeat, I call all of my power back to me now.
I call all of my power back to me now.
I want you to see those beams of light coming in from each other, coming in from anybody you've talked to today, anybody online you've been around all over the world, co-workers, family, the mailman, all the beams of light coming in from everyone, and they center into the palms of your hands. You may feel it get warm, palms might get sweaty as that light turns to liquid gold or whatever color, and it runs down into your forearms, filling up your body cavity with light, through the elbows, from the upper arms into the shoulders, up through the neck and into the head, down through the shoulders and into the heart space, the chest area, the abdomen. That light pools and it spreads to the hips and the pelvic girdle, down through the upper thigh and into the knee, erasing all pain as it moves through and fills your body, down through the calves, into the ankles and the heels, and it floods down and fills your feet to the tips of your toes. I want you to see your body glowing with your divine power from Source, the source of your connectedness. Your spirit is awake. You may feel flushed. You may feel tingly. You may feel cool. When you get a good, strong visual, say thank you, and so it is. And so it is.
Yes.
All right, ladies, thank you for joining us and sticking it out until the end. I hope you all feel higher vibration and you can move into the rest of your week with that and try to maintain it. But if you can't and you need to sit down in it, just let it move through you, and we're right here. Okay?
Thanks, Nikki.
Thanks,
You're
everybody.
welcome.
Thanks,
Good
everyone.
night.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye bye, everyone.